Firstly, we are surprised that the statement was released in the middle of the night. Nobody is responsible for that, and it's a very irresponsible way of putting out such an important report. And it clearly indicates that the pilot is at fault without telling that the pilot is at fault. This is what we were saying is irresponsible, and this would lead to further speculations among the public.
সামনে এসেছে 12 জুন আহমেদাবাদের বিমান দুর্ঘটনার প্রাথমিক তদন্ত রিপোর্ট। 12 জুলাই মধ্যরাতে ঘটনার ঠিক এক মাসের মাথায় এয়ারক্রাফট অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট ইনভেস্টিগেশন ব্যুরো বা AAIB-র তরফে রিপোর্টটি প্রকাশ করা হয়েছে। ওই রিপোর্টে বলা হয়েছে ফুয়েল কাট অফ সুইচ অন থেকে কাট অফ পজিশনে সরে এসেছিল, যার ফলে বিমানের দুটি ইঞ্জিনই বন্ধ হয়ে যায়। পরে তা অন করা হলেও ইঞ্জিন তার কাঙ্ক্ষিত গতি পায়নি। এই রিপোর্টকে তুমুল সমালোচনা করা হয়েছে এয়ারলাইন পাইলটস অ্যাসোসিয়েশনের তরফ থেকে। একটি বিবৃতিও জারি করেছেন তারা। তাদের বক্তব্য, ওই রিপোর্টে ঘুরপথে পাইলটকেই দায়ী করা হচ্ছে এবং একাধিক অসঙ্গতিও রয়েছে।
Firstly, we are surprised that the statement was released in the middle of the night at around 1:30, and it carries nobody's signature. Nobody is responsible for that, and it's a very irresponsible way of putting out such an important report. We've always maintained that you should have some kind of transparency, and the personnel involved in these investigation should be specialists. They should be pilots, they should be engineers, there should be other facets of subject matter experts who should come in and contribute or should be invited to contribute. Now you have put out something which is more confusing than when it started off, and it clearly indicates that the pilot is at fault without telling that the pilot is at fault. And the entire media has taken it up, so much so that people are even saying it's a deliberate act of sabotage / suicide. This is what we were saying is irresponsible, and this would lead to further speculations among the public. First, let's assume without data, when we speak without the DFDR data, it is again Amar Chitra Katha. Okay? We are all telling stories. Now, if the start switch, that is the fuel control switches, have gone from run to cut off and then back to run, that means the pilot is following a checklist of dual engine failure. It says cut off, put it back again, so that the engine electronic control swaps and there's a good chance of the engine starting back again. As the report mentions, one of the engines had begun to start up. Now that's as a part of the checklist. Now, if you just put that the pilot, it says the fuel control switches transitioned from run to cut off. What do you mean by transition? It fell on its own, or did the pilot do it? Why don't you write that there? Because everything is very clear in the DFDR. If you touch it, and such an airplane, even if you touch it, you will know whose hand has touched where. So instead of putting that, you have put an ambiguous statement which says that it went off in one. There are several scenarios in which it could happen. Now, people are confusing the fuel control switches with the fuel shut-off valves. So these are very, very technical terms. You cannot have somebody who is just walking down the lane, coming on media and talking. That is what happens with the Indian media, and that's what we are objecting to. A lot of experts who know nothing are coming and saying everything on the channel from bird hit. It started off with bird hit. Where are the bird now? It started off with the flaps not in position. What happened with that? It started off with pilot taking the flap up instead of gear up. So where are all those people now? Now they have come back with a different story. That now could be the pilot has cut off the fuel control switches. So we need to step back and make this. This is the problem if you have secrecy around it. What is so secretive for the Aircraft Investigation Board head to have CISF security? So if he's so scared, let him go home and sit.